customer like we would treat our own moms. With care.
Currently in our area, 88 degrees under cloudy skies. This afternoon, thunderstorms with locally heavy downpours. A few storms may be severe. High 91. Tonight, thunderstorms early. Low 69. Chance of rain 70%. Saturday, mainly sunny. High 91. Winds north-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Is still highly recommended. Get into the out there. The Weather Channel.
All right, brace yourself. Here comes the storm. This is actually a time-lapse video of a shelf cloud soaring over Grand Forks, North Dakota yesterday. It was the leading edge of one massive thunderstorm that made its way across this part of North Dakota. And there were other areas in the Dakotas that got hit with strong gusty winds, even causing some damage. However, we are expecting more sunshine as we head into the weekend. But storms and flooding, still a huge concern for several areas across the country today. We're looking yet again in the mid-Atlantic for most of the Virginias, parts of North Carolina, even up into the Delaware area, the Delmarva Peninsula is where we're expecting some flash flooding with these slow-moving storms. Then we have the threat of severe thunderstorms, and right across the middle of the country. Storms so close right now to Kansas City, but as we go through the rest of your Friday, we'll be watching here across eastern Kansas and into Oklahoma for severe thunderstorms to develop, and they could bring those strong damaging winds. And then we go out into the tropics down towards the southern half of the Gulf of Mexico. This is something that we're going to keep an eye on as far as tropical development is concerned. We're going to have a full report coming up for you in about 20 minutes. Meanwhile, we want to talk about the thunderstorms across the country. And for that, let's go into the lab and go to Chris.
All right, Jennifer, right now on the active radar, we're seeing more thunderstorms that are bearing down on Kansas City here at the moment. Also, storms have been and continue to flare up across parts of the upper Midwest. So you can see right there in Kansas City, also up here in Wisconsin, watching the storms really start to crank a little bit. But the imminent threat now, we're getting closer to the airport here in Kansas City with thunderstorms bringing the potential for some damaging winds here until 3:15 for this outlined area, including St. Joe, Missouri, which is under the gun right now in terms of seeing some of the heaviest rainfall. And the timing for this does bring the storm into Kansas City within the next, say, 40 minutes or so. And you can even have lightning ahead of the storm. That's also something to remember and keep in mind as well. Here's the threat area for storms in the near future, according to the Storm Prediction Center, through 7 o'clock, where a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect, where conditions remain favorable for the development of severe weather. And then through the rest of the evening tonight, and even for a portion of the overnight hours, storms will develop and continue to drop to the south into a very unstable atmosphere. A lot of moisture and instability means we're going to watch these storms flare up and fire off here. This is 6 o'clock, and storms will be cruising through Kansas City by 8 or 9, knocking on the door in Joplin, moving into, at the same time, moving into Oklahoma. Now here's 11 midnight, Fort Smith, and then the overnight hours still firing across portions of southern Oklahoma, and possibly a second round here in Tulsa and around Tulsa if that future radar ends up being what is exactly that happens. It's usually not exactly what happens, but it gives you an idea of how the radar may look in the future, the kind of flavor, Chris, of the atmosphere, if you will.
Yesterday's torrential rain in Baltimore resulted in standing water backing up around homes. With water threatening to flood her basement, this homeowner struggled to clear a drain behind her home, working in almost knee-deep water as floodwaters carried even garbage cans around her. Fortunately, the rain will continue here. Or unfortunately, the rain will continue here. However, we don't think flash flooding will be as widespread, especially in Baltimore. Now, south of you is where we've got more of a concern. The yellow area that you see through West Virginia, that's where we expect the likelihood of flash flooding. And that's where we already have ongoing flash flood warnings, still raining in numerous locations here, especially east of Richmond. In fact, look at that cell that's just been parked over parts of eastern Virginia, almost along the shores of the Chesapeake Bay. Let's jump into West Virginia, still tracking a couple of flash flood warnings. In fact, a new one that has just popped up with this intense downpour just west of Clarksburg, west of I-79. And then we've got numerous flash flood warnings still ongoing here for Barber, Harrison, and Upshur counties. The rain has ended, still some light showers, but more downpours. And where these are popping up, it seems like we're getting warnings with them for flash flooding. A lot of flash flood warnings that dip just now into Greensboro, North Carolina. Just north of Danville, you're under a flash flood warning, and a couple others there in Southern Virginia. Southern Virginia, Central Virginia, that may be a spot to watch, we think, today, especially as you see a whole complex of very heavy rainfall, slow moving, and we're talking hours of rain, at times very heavy. Blacksburg, Roanoke, Christiansburg, areas here near Bristol, you're going to deal with those storms, and then early in the morning, things do tend to quiet down. The other spot to watch, northern Mississippi, where we've got flash flood watches, and Tuscaloosa, Alabama, you're still under a flash flood warning.